job doesn't keep me in one place. Why do I need to own a property? And you don't necessarily have to. My brother and his wife, he's a professor at a university, but she works for a company that helps with mental illness, but she's on the phone all the time. She's one of those call people. You call them if you're having a crisis. She comes up here frequently and she can work right in my sister's office or my office at home. So she doesn't necessarily have to have a house. So I'm not coming here today to talk to you about home ownership where you need to move into a property. I'm coming here today to talk to you about investing in real estate. Okay. Um, I bought my first house when I was 22 years old. And then from there, I just kept buying property. And then I'll tell you about the recession that happened in 2008. I think you guys were maybe 2, 3 years old, 1, 2, 3 years old at the time. But what I would like to do first is to let you all look at this video about the history of real estate, and then we'll go into more details. But like I said, I'm here to talk to you about investment purchasing and how you can do that. You can buy investment property by yourself, or you can get together in groups and buy large properties, commercial properties, things like that. But the importance of it all is having some income, some residual income that you can have that comes in consistently month after month after month while you have a job. Okay, you can take that money and you can invest it in other things, or save it, or help a family member, or send a kid to college, or whatever you need to do. And that doesn't affect the money that you have coming in from your job. Okay, where you're paying your bills and you're paying your rent and all of those things. So we'll look at this video first so you can get a wealth. Uh-huh.
I would imagine Gabrielle's ahead of the game.
Are you ahead of the game? She is. She knows all about it. I've been selling real estate since before Gabrielle was born. Um, so she's worked with me. She's done marketing for me. So she has a real good idea about uh, buying properties, investment properties, things like that. Okay.
I mean, she's not talking about having money. She's talking about building what? Building what? She ain't talking about the money in your pocket. She's talking about building what? See, wealth is what you can live on.
Mm-hmm.
See, not getting a job, and it's important, but building and creating what? Because what I hear her say, she's gonna leave some of that to whom? So Gabrielle gonna have a head what? Start on what? On wealth.
Yep. And that's how you do it. Um, Real estate is one of those things. Land, I should say, is something that's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. You can build on it. You can tear down the building that you put on it and put something else on it.
Okay.
So just remember that as you grow up and you make decisions to go into whatever you decide to go into, try to figure out how you can get a piece of the pie. Okay, a piece of real estate, a small condo, a townhome, a single family home, or a small apartment building, a piece of commercial property. Right now I'm thinking about branching out into commercial because I do real estate, residential real estate. So I'm selling townhomes, condos, single family homes, and small apartment units. Okay, but now I want to get an event space so that when you guys want to have your birthday parties and whatever else, um, I'll have a space for you to come. And there are not a lot of great spaces in Prince George's County, so I'm in search of a place now. But that will then become a part of my residual income, okay? Um, where I can every month, every time somebody rents my spot, I'm making money. I still have to pay bills, of course, but there should be an amount of money that I can put aside And I'm going into the retirement phase of life. I've got one more left in the house. And once we get her through college or whatever she decides to do at the end of this high school career, we're moving into other things. So right now we're building wealth, we're creating residual incomes and putting that money aside. And some of it will be taken and put into, what do you call it, investments like stocks and mutual funds and things like that. And then the other part we can use to continue to build more wealth. Okay. And I can tell you about a real estate investment trust and all of that. Okay, so let's look at this video real quick. And you don't have to look at the whole. By the end, he's talking about, of course, selling something.
Me lord, I have some money. Can I rent this land? And basically, my friend, that is the history of wealth in the game of real estate. In fact, from the beginning of time, land and property have been used as the core way for nobility to build wealth. Maybe it's time for you today to get a little history lesson and learn how to join the ranks. I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one. On this channel, we're all about the real estate, and today we're talking about ancient property and basically the history of real estate. And it's important for you to understand that if you want to build real wealth, you have to figure out how wealth has been built through time. Speaking of which, for my birthday last year, my wife purchased 5 square feet of land in Northern Ireland. And you know that in Ireland, that makes you a laird or a lord. So technically, I have joined nobility. And you done ring the high society? Dining like a king. I remember when my very first mentor in the game of real estate sat me down. You know what he said? He said, you know, Chris, real estate isn't rocket science. And I remember thinking, why does he keep saying that? What does he mean that it's not rocket science? What he was really saying is that real estate, done correctly, is actually really simple. It's a simple way to build wealth. And on top of that, did you know that real estate isn't new? Like, it has been around for a really long time. In the next couple of minutes, I'm going to help you get an appreciation for how wealth has always been built. From Investopedia, real estate is as ancient as the formation of human civilization and has always been the primary way of building wealth, security, and prosperity. And I'm going to take you right now through the evolution of what real estate has undergone to get to the point where it's something that you can privately own and change your own financial stars. All right, are you ready? School's in session. We first got to start with the nomads. For almost half of human history, our nomadic ancestors followed their prey from area to area. They left little behind and never settled in permanent dwellings. Gotta tell you, I felt a little bit like this on a recent trip last year to Alaska. There was this sheep high up in the mountains that I was going for. This was a hunting trip. And for any of you freaking out right now, this is a way that I provide ethical meat for my family. But let's get back to the story. I'm going through 80,000 calories over 10 days to find the sheep. And on the 10th day of the last day of the hunt, I finally found my guy. It was a crazy cross shot over canyon. And at the end of the day, I found myself literally kneeling and crying that I finally caught this animal. The nomadic way of life was a very hard way of life. And all I really wanted was to go home. The nomads, I think they eventually evolved to a place where they said, I would like to create a permanent home as well. The nomads eventually settled and they developed more of an agrarian approach to life. It was no longer like meat being the only protein source. They learned how to cultivate the land. The transition to agriculture also marked the advent of home ownership, a system of tribal leaders that they developed of those who had the approval of the tribe. They would disperse the lands, they would settle disputes, and require payment from all of their subjects. Basically, land was awarded to the wise people. It was awarded to the individuals that were basically helping grow the tribe, grow the culture. And so real estate wasn't made available to everyone at this point. There's an ancient word that we use every day today in the real estate. It's called the landlord. This is the person that owns the property and they make it available for someone to rent. And guess what? This goes back to the landlord, or the lord of the land. This is the lord that basically says, I own all this land, peasants. The peasant, the diner. He didn't pay his check. And I'm going to let you give me some money if you want to rent some of it. Check it out. As communities grew, a local army could defend from outside threats. In return for the security that people all paid homage to the lord or king who claimed ownership of that land. This, in essence, was the first system of rent. So who are these lord of the lands, these landlords? These were the rich and powerful families that basically had taken over the land, or maybe had armies that took it by force, but they basically claimed it. Land ownership was power. And then what they do is they'd let their people settle on it, and then they would have to give them of their grain or their storehouses or their goats or whatever formal payments and money that they used at those times. And this is the beginning where the people realized he who owns the land holds the power. This takes us directly into feudalism. Royal families spread their wealth to friends, signing away titles and deeds to lands that allowed the holders to collect the revenues, the rent, produced by the peasants living there. Rich merchants became the first common board landlords, gaining wealth and status. These merchants didn't own the land, but they did own the houses on it. And so, listen, the king wouldn't give you all of the real estate. They'd say, you can own what you put on it. The land is bottom line going to be mine. Is that very different than how it is, for example, in the United States? I mean, even if I have my house paid off free and clear, even if I have my land paid off, I still have to pay this thing every year to the government called taxes. That's part of feudalism. The system of feudalism ultimately gave individuals the right to rise. It gave certain people an opportunity to make more of their life. And bottom line is it came down to real estate. Listen, the greater you grew, the more wealth you had, it always came back to real estate. The people that owned the most real estate held the most power. And this system started to disseminate more and more of that power from the royals to everybody else. This system continued until basically people owned their own farms. And retirement was owning a farm, having a large family, hopefully having enough of the kids survive that they could take it over, take care of their parents. And real estate really was the original retirement plan. All of that changed with the Industrial Revolution. Many aristocracies were eventually displaced, and with the Industrial Revolution, the use of machines for manual labor freed many peasants from different tasks. People with ambition, not birthright, were finally able to jump classes and purchase property. This changed the playing field because it literally meant that anyone could rise up and create any life that they wanted for themselves. And in the majority of situations, it didn't come to owning industry. It didn't come down to owning business. It came down to owning and controlling real estate. To some extent, I'm a byproduct of the Industrial Revolution, right? I mean, my dad came from Germany to America, and he worked really hard to purchase 5 acres of land outside of the city of Redmond, Washington. And, I grew up on that land, and that was all my father ever owned. And when I became an adult, I didn't inherit that land. That was my father's. If I wanted to create a future for myself, I was going to have to figure out how to eventually own real estate myself. But in this day and age, guess what's different? Most of us are now thinking with the Industrial Revolution, go work for somebody else, because those companies would pay out pensions. This is the first time people also forfeited their heritage of real estate and basically said, I'm going to go work for a company in pensions, and they gave that up. And for me, I wanted to make a return to the game of real estate, which is why I buy a house just about every single day, because the more real estate I own, the more income I have, the more tax advantages I have. Ultimately, today, I have all of this real estate, and guess what it means? It means a lot of power. It means a lot of freedom. It means a lot of liberty. It means a lot of choice. The reason why this is so important for you to understand is because I rose not because of my family, not because of my relations and who I was connected to. I rose because I wanted to. If you're a subscriber to my channel, it's because you're here to figure out the game.
Okay, so that's about it. Otherwise, he's trying to sell you his book or whatever. But that's basically the history of real estate, how real estate started, was created, and it was for the wealthy, and they would rent out property or land to people who weren't so wealthy, and that created wealth for the wealthy people. Okay, so when I talk about, I'm going to come here and talk to you about investment purchasing. You would be the landlord. Okay, if you in 10 years decide, I don't want to stay in this area, but I still want to have roots here, purchase a property, rent that property out to someone, hire a property management company, let them manage that property, and just collect your money every month. Of course, there's still going to be repairs that need to be made to the property. So there is money that you're going to have to put into your property, but that's the point. You want to keep it up, make it nice. You don't want to be called a slumlord and all of those different things. But every year you got to also pay taxes. Everybody knows about taxes, right? Okay. You'll pay taxes. You can write off those expenses when you purchase things for your property. If you hire a property management company, you got to put a new roof on, things like that. You can write those expenses off, or a certain percentage of those expenses off, which lowers your taxes, and then you get more money, get a larger refund from that. Okay, but I'm not here to talk about taxes. You have to talk to your tax preparer about that. I'm here to talk to you about the fact that in our community, a lot of us don't own real estate, don't understand why it's important to own real estate. So over the past, I've been doing this for about 27 years, almost 30 years, and I've sold a lot of houses. I used to work as a first time buyer agent, meaning that I would go around, I would market to people who never owned a home. I would educate them on why it's important to purchase a home. And a lot of times people think, oh, this is going to be my dream home. I'm going to stay here forever. No, you're not. The average person moves every 7 to 10 years in this area. And what I would tell them is, okay, when you're looking for your first house, don't look for the mansion, the big beauty. Think of it as an investment. You can take that house, the first house that you purchase, and you don't have to sell it to buy the second one, depending on your situation. Okay. So if I'm sitting down educating you on how to purchase your first home, don't purchase something that, is, what's the word? Your mortgage payment is so high that you're barely able to make it, because let me tell you, a loan officer will qualify you at the maximum that you can purchase, but you have to think, hey, am I going to be able to buy that car that I want, or whatever? I like to dress, so I want to, buy these expensive clothes and things like that. Next thing you know, you got all of this debt and can barely afford the mortgage payment. That's not where you want to be. You want to try to purchase something where it's comfortable, okay? You want to purchase in the area where you can get, that if you were or had to rent that property out, let me put this on silent. If you had to rent that property out for whatever circumstance, you get sick or you have to move in with your mom because she's sick or something like that, it's a place where somebody's going to want to rent. Okay. You don't have to sell your property. I never encourage anybody to sell unless you have to. Always hold on to your real estate, because in the end, it's going to make you wealthy. You all know about equity. So you buy the house at 100,000, in 10 years, it's worth 150. If any of you have been paying attention over the last 2 years to the real estate market, you understand that these prices are going up every single day. They have been, but we're approaching a recession. They keep talking about it, throwing it out there. So I think we're kind of, by the end of this summer, they're saying that we're really going to be hit with this recession similar to what happened in 2008 or worse. Where was I going with that? So with the recession coming, a lot of people are going to be losing jobs or losing hours. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you can't pay your mortgage and put gas in your car and pay, your car note and insurance and all those things that you have to pay when you become an adult and responsible for yourself. You want to make sure that this house that you are able to pay your mortgage plus all the other things. And if you can't pay your mortgage because you have all these other things, figure out what other things you can get rid of to make sure you pay that mortgage. Okay, because the markets, there's trends, and I would say every 10 years or so, the market goes up and then it'll come back down. It'll go up. So the value of your property is either going to rise, and you got to learn when it's the best time to sell or move into a different type of property or rent that out and buy something else. and there's just not enough time to go into all the details of it. But just when you go to buy a property, just remember, I'm buying this because this is going to be a future investment for me. This is not going to be the last house that I purchase. Is this area that I'm moving to a good area for renters? If I had to rent my house out, will I be able to rent it and get a decent renter and get the most for the money, for the value of my property? Okay. Remember that you got to keep that property up. Okay. So you always want to put money aside to make sure that you can put on a new roof or fix a broken window or whatever, update it, because I would say you should try to update your property every 10 to 15 years if you can. And that doesn't mean completely renovate the whole house. That means, oh, this carpet's been in here for 10 years and it looks a little rough. Let me replace my carpet. So you always want to put aside some money to make sure that your investment is being taken care of. Okay. Now, if you're going to be one of those people that want to move to different areas of the country, then you may want to buy a house in these different areas. Remember that you can't be everywhere all the time. So you want to hire a property manager to handle those real estate investments that you have. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with owning real estate all over the country. There's a lot of people that do that. Of course, you'll have to go back from time to time to go see these properties. But once again, if you hire somebody to take care of them, remember that's a tax write-off. That person, if they're a good property management company, they're going to take care of it, and you don't really have to worry about it. But that residual income that you're receiving from all of those homes could put you in a position where you don't even have to work anymore. That could be your business. Okay. And there's a lot of people out here that do just that. They start off buying residential properties, then they go and they purchase commercial property, which could be a building for an event space, or they'll buy apartment complexes and they'll put 50, 60 people in them. And all of those are ways to create wealth for yourself. So,
let me ask you a question. 10
Uh-huh.
years from now, I keep telling this kid's 10 years from now. How do you see Prince George's 10 years from now? If these kids will be 26, if they were, where do you think will be the hot areas to buy a house 10 years from now, Prince George's?
I think it's going to remain the same. The hottest areas right now to buy a house are in Bowie, okay, Upper Marlboro, in Prince George's County. Bowie and Upper Marlboro about the hottest places. For if you want to live in a property, if you want to invest in a property, you want to invest in areas that are close to the District of Columbia. Suitland, District Heights, Capitol Heights, and more people who can no longer afford DC are moving into Capitol Heights, District Heights, and Suitland. This area right here, Marlow Heights. It's going to change with regentrification. These areas are going to change. It is not going to be hot like it is right now. I remember when DC was horrible. I've been around. My oldest daughter was about 2 when I started real estate, and I used to drag her through the city looking at investment properties with a couple of investor friends that I had. They were terrible. Now, I'm sure when you all go to DC and you see these houses, it's like, that's not what, well, y'all don't know. But these houses look like, they look straight up ghetto. Crackheads were living in them. It was terrible. And I used to have to step through there. And, it was terrible. And now I'm looking at these houses. These are $1 million homes. I had one on C Street off of Independence Avenue, a little tiny little house, 2-bedroom with a bedroom in the back. So you had to walk through one room to get to another. It had 1 bath. I ended up renovating that house, putting another bath downstairs. That house, when I sold it, it was worth like 500 and something thousand. When I bought it for like $100,000. Okay. So I fixed it up, rented it over a period of time, I think maybe 5-6 years. And then I sold it and made 400 and something thousand dollars. That's a lot of money. And that's an easy hustle. So for all my entrepreneurs in the room, if you want, it can be an easy hustle because there's a lot of detail in this. And you have to be patient as well in the real estate industry. You can't jump on the first thing, and you got to really do your research, okay? Or get with an agent that can help you do the research you need to do. For example, I'm trying to branch off into Baltimore. I have been going back and forth with, do I really want to go to Baltimore? But Baltimore is now reminding me of the district 20 years ago. You know, you've got the harbor down there, you got John Hopkins Hospital. So there's a lot of people transitioning all the time to this area, to the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area from other parts of the country. And right now, Baltimore is still, I think, the least expensive place to move to. But I was just there working with a client. They have a house that you can walk to John Hopkins Hospital, and they want like 1,600. But the whole block is like 3 people, and the rest of the houses are vacant. You know, it looks bad. But she wants like 1,600, and I'm like, oh Lord, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get $1,600. Not right now. Maybe in a couple of years I can get 1,600. But I'm gonna, if the client asks for 16 and I agree to it, I gotta work with her and try to get that 1,600. But we can always try to work down until we get people that are interested in moving there. But eventually, it's going to turn around. Uh, and let me tell you, that block looks horrible, but you can walk right down the corner, and everything on this block is fixed up and looks nice and beautiful. And it's like, wow. And those houses are going for like 225,000. They bought those for $17,000. Okay, so if you can hustle up $10,000, and you can be patient, and you fix up your house, you get with a group of your friends, where everybody puts in $5,000, and then you all together, and make sure you work with people you can trust. You all together go and find a property, fix it up, sit on it, let somebody rent it out for a while, and just watch the market. You'll see the increase in value over a period of time. Then you make a decision. Do I want to hold on to this, or oh, we don't want this anymore. Let's sell it. Let's collect our 200,000 and go buy something over here, okay? And do the same thing, and you hold on to your money, and you go buy something else until you can buy a huge apartment complex or something like that. Once you get a complex, that's it. You don't have to do anything else. You just hire a good property manager and collect your money.
Let me ask you a question. How many of you guys at home, how many of you are privileged to this kind of information? Anybody been here? In what way, Brianna? Tell me how have you been hearing about what she's anyone else? Home ownership. Oh, I got 2 right here. I'll let y'all determine which one to go first or second.
My sister has real estate. She has her husband have a company. I'm in Baltimore. And they like inform people on Instagram about real estate marketing. So I just pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
They put out there.
So they're investors.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting ready to move to New York.
My mom's an architect for I don't remember how long.
Uh-huh.
She used to fix houses, like she used to like go into crawl spaces and like
No.
a whole lot of in like the West Virginia area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I also have family friends that are into real estate, and even me and my best friend, we looked into real estate and we're like, okay, like, yes, I want to do film and theater like that, like I want that to be my career, but like I still want to have stuff on the side. Like I want to own property and be able to
Right.
like make money off of the property.
Yeah, that career is a hard career. Not that you can't do it, but you could be hungry for a while, waiting for the next thing. But if you have a piece of property and you're collecting rent, and it's making you some money, at least you'll eat, right? You'll have that money. So that's the point. There's so many different types of jobs that you can do out here these days. But do you know when it's going to dry up? You don't know. But real estate is never going to dry up. Okay, it has its ups and downs. Okay, so you have to pay attention, but you can get residual income, which means monthly reoccurring income off of that piece of property while it builds equity, it goes up in value. And then at whatever point you decide that, okay, it's time for me to sell, you collect that income. Okay. Now, the thing with investment properties, if you don't own it, I'm sorry, not that if you don't own it, if you're not occupying that property, and they consider it investment property, Uncle Sam is going to want his money, okay? Because you've been making all this money all this time. Now you go to sell it. Uncle Sam says, okay, I want a piece of that. What he was talking about. You still have to pay taxes on that money, but there's a ways to get around that too. There's something called the 1031 tax exchange, where you say, okay, I don't want this townhouse anymore. I want to buy a single family home. I got a family that needs a 4-bedroom, blah blah blah. So Uncle Sam says, if you buy like kind properties, I won't tax you. You go ahead and sell this one. You keep it with the title company. When you go to buy this one, you put that money on this house, okay? And then that's the way that you can defer paying Uncle Sam. But if you just take the money, and some people need it, just understand that you're going to pay money on that money that you receive. Okay.
So how do I get my kids to stop looking at dirt and not seeing value? I mean, my kids.
Is that true? That's what y'all do?
Look at that dirt, don't see the value. Just look at it. I mean, you drive by, see land and trees, but you don't see opportunities.
I think in which a lot of kids, and I was guilty too, don't read enough, okay? Or just go on YouTube. I just went on YouTube and put in, you know how to do it. You Google what you want to know about, and then you find somebody on YouTube that interests you, that can keep your attention, and you follow that person. They're going to give you all the information you need, and it's free. Okay. If you want, and so when you're out here walking around and you see a empty lot, you're like, dang, what could I do with that? This is perfect. It's right down the street from shopping, or a church or a school or whatever. People are eventually going to want to come here and live. What if I got with a developer and create and my family, I just inherited $100,000. What if I got with a developer and decided I want to develop this land? Who do I go to? Okay, then you got to figure out, where do I go to find out who owns this land? And they'll tell you. You got to go to public records down at the courthouse. Then you start sending letters to those people. Or if it's got a sign in the yard, call the realtor. Sign on the lot, call the realtor and see what is required to purchase the home. Does it have the utilities? Because a piece of raw land is either going to have utilities there waiting for somebody to purchase it and build something, or it's not, and you're going to have to put a septic tank for your waste, and you got to bring electricity. Those are more expensive. So it's already set up. That's the one you really, when you're first starting out, until you start making that mega money, then you can afford to bring utilities and plumbing and all these different things. But for example, if you see a lot out here, 9 times out of 10, because this is a developed community, it's already going to have electricity and plumbing. It's just waiting for somebody to hook it up, to create the building, put the pipes in, connected to the utility company. Okay. But it is time to start looking. You guys are so creative, and you have so many opportunities that I didn't have. But I feel like, and I don't want to offend anyone, you all lack imagination, okay? Because everything is given to you. You just pick up, what is this? And you pick it up, and there it is right there. Oh, and then you go on and do something else. But you got to use your imagination when you walk. That's when he says dirt. It's not just dirt. What can that dirt become? And unfortunately, because of the internet and TikTok and whoever else out here, you all don't use your imaginations the way you could. Now, some kids do, but a lot of kids don't. And it's not your fault. But if you're not made aware of it too, then you're not going to do better. So, you know, y'all need to start using your imagination. Don't just walk by something saying, what are we going to do with that? What you mean what we going to do? What do you think you want to do with it? Do you see any possibilities in this? And that's what I tell my kids, you know, when they come to me. I don't know I can't see past this or that. I'm like, because you're not using your imagination. Okay, be creative. That's what I would say to them.
Shemaya, you got a question? You want me rich or poor? What are you gonna do about it? Yeah. I'm going to school, Max, man. Put that 100 in for you. There's no doubt about it. Go ahead.
Say that again. To get a real estate license, you only have to be 18. You don't even have to graduate. I shouldn't tell anybody that, but you don't even have to have a high school diploma. But you need to have some sense, and you need to be able to think quickly, and you have to have a great personality to work with other people. You have to have patience, because it is not something that's going to happen overnight. Okay. Now, to be a real estate investor, you may want to find a mentor. They're going to be, you probably need to have a couple $1,000s, okay, to be able to invest in something or to partner up with somebody to invest. But it's not hard. I got my license in 1994, and I had a government job. And then I think in 1999, I met up with some people that said, let's all quit our jobs and go in. I was terrified. I had a child at the time, and I'm like, what am I going to do? So I had to use my imagination and figure out how am I going to make this work? Okay, I'm about to quit my good government job. I had insurance and money coming in to go into real estate. But I had been doing it for a while, and I built up clientele. Okay, and it's very important that you do a great job for your past clients so that they'll continue to refer to you. That's the only way you're going to continue your business. If you do a crappy job, they're going to talk about you, okay? And you won't get anywhere. But I decided, okay, I'm going to put my condo up for rent. I'm going to move back in with my father, who's there by himself. So I had a house to go to. I was able to do that. Not everybody has that, but this is what my mind told me to do. So I moved in with my dad. I had a live-in babysitter so I could get out there and do what I needed to do. I saved up, before I left my job, I saved maybe $20,000. I had money set aside. That meant that I wasn't buying clothes and get my hair done and nails done and all that kind of stuff. I just took care. I did the bare minimum because I had a vision. I had a vision of what I wanted to do. And that's important too. You got to see yourself in 5 to 10 years. And right now is a good time for you all to start thinking about, where am I going to be in 5 years? Where am I going to be after I graduate? And if you can't see 5 years, then just do a year from now and another year from now until you can see 5 years from now. Build on something right now so that when you graduate, you're not going, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what school I want to go to. I don't know. You don't know because you haven't thought past today. So we got to stop thinking about today and think about your future. Okay.
Does that help down?
Okay, but if you want, you can always get.
I feel that passion.
You can always ask Gabrielle for my phone number. I don't mind talking to anybody.
She tells me she goes to open houses with you.
She does. The kids got to come. We have a podcast, and it's called the BS of Entrepreneurship. Okay, and we have different people who own businesses come on every Tuesday, and they talk about their journey, how they started, where they started, and what they're doing now. We had DJ Rico on there last Tuesday, not this Tuesday. The DJ, he came on and he told us about what was going on with him. But I'll come on sometimes and talk about, because not only do I sell real estate, but I also have a property management company. Okay. And that's the other thing. In any business that you have, find your niche. Everybody knows what a niche is. Something that's specific to what you do, and you become a professional at it. Okay. So let me tell you, in 2008, when the market crashed, and I mean it crashed. One day the phones are ringing, ring, ring, ring. I want to buy a house, buy a house. Next day it was like, well, my phone's not ringing. What's going on? The market crashed. Okay. People stopped buying houses. People were losing jobs. My rents were not getting paid. It was terrible. I had to figure out how I was going to feed my 3 kids and pay my mortgage and pay all these other mortgages I had to pay, because a lot of my tenants, they didn't have jobs anymore. Um, and I decided at that point that I was going to go into property management. So I went under another broker. And that's the other thing. You can have 2 brokers. You can be what's called dual licensed. I sold with Remax, and I went and worked for this property management company. And I learned everything that I needed to learn. And I started my own business in 2011. I left him because, with any business, if you're thinking like a boss and not like an employee, you're looking at it from the perspective of, what can I do better? How can I make this better? I really like this, but I don't like his ways or her ways, or I know I can do this better. And you go out there and you branch off and you do your own thing. Anyway, I feel like my company's better than his, but he was a great teacher. Okay. And he taught me everything I needed to know. I went out and I started my own thing, and I was able to feed my family. Okay. And I decided I'm going to open up my own property management company. And that's what I do today. So my focus is property management. But let me tell you, property management, you're going to hold on to these properties for years and years. I've had clients that I've had since 2011, and I just keep moving people in and out, renovating their houses. Last January, one of my clients asked me he says, I'm ready, I'm tired, and I want to retire, and I'm ready to sell. I said, okay. Now, I've been managing this house since 2011, so I've been getting that income every month since 2011. Now I'm about to sell the house. We're renovating it. We're going to sell it. And guess what? I'm about to get all of that commission too. So I got paid twice of one house. Okay. Yes. So that's it. So I have 80, 90 properties right now. And every last one of them, I had the potential of selling. Okay. So I'm making money monthly. And then at the end of that time, I'm going to sell it. And then I'm going to make money. And then he's going to continue to refer to me because he's going to miss much, because I'm a wonderful property manager, okay, and realtor. He doesn't have to go anywhere else. Everything he wants, he comes to me. And that's how you want in any business. You want your customers to think of you as the expert, okay, in any business that you're doing. Okay. How many people want to have their own business? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. That's great. And there's nothing wrong with it. Figure out, you guys living at home, you don't have a whole bunch of responsibility, because once you turn 18, like I tell mine, I don't have to pay for you no more. I don't have to do nothing, but I do it because I love you. Okay. I want to help you. I want you to be good at what you're trying to accomplish. But if I see you being trifling and not just laying around my house, oh no, I'm not helping. I'm not doing that. But while you're home and you're free and you can, have fun and all these things, don't just have fun. Come up with your plan. Okay. And if you're currently an entrepreneur, you're selling t-shirts or whatever, doing nails, hair, whatever you're doing, make sure that you keep it up. And because when I'm driving down the street, when my kids were small, I was like, look at that person over there. Do you think he's always been a bum? No, he wasn't. Something happened. I don't disrespect anybody, but I tell him something happened in his life. It was either a mental thing, or maybe he lost his family. You just never know. But he wasn't always a bum, okay? But he's out here with a sign saying, help me, I'm hungry, or whatever. Then you got another one over here that's got his violin, and he's playing his violin, and they dropping money in his bucket constantly because they like hearing what he's doing. So if you have a skill, and this is what I tell Gabrielle, she likes to bake and all of that. That's great, Gabrielle. Are you going to be, is this what you're going to do? If not, and you decide to go in a different direction, at least you can bake cakes. And just like those girls, those ladies with the cheesecake, I don't know if y'all know about them. They got during the pandemic when the government shut down, and they started. They doing great. They got a place down in National Harbor, a whole store down in National Harbor selling their cheesecakes. So they were fortunate enough to be able to leave their government jobs because so many people love their cheesecake. They opened up a place in National Harbor, and that is not an easy thing to do. But they got the support they needed. Probably went to Small Business Association, got a loan, and they were able to do their thing.
And understood, that's another term. See, when you don't own the building, you have a landlord. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
See, the question is Michelle was saying, you want to be the landlord. Remember, the word is land what? You the lord of the what? The land when you own it. Is that clear? See, when you're renting, you're paying rent to somebody else who's your landlord. So, okay. So again, I was wondering how they were doing over there. I lost that because I know they rent over there must be unbelievable. I know they got.
It is. It is. They said they're doing okay, but that was their side hustle probably. And when they no longer had their job that was paying them, they were able to pick right on up because they had to figure out how to make some money. That's imagination. How to make some money. They were making money. People coming over. We're all bored in the house. Let me go get me a cheesecake. And they had their side hustle work for them. That's an example of the hustle actually working, and they created a business and now they can leave that job. So if you don't have any money or any means to get money, go ahead and get your job. Make sure that you put money you come up with a plan and you put a certain amount of money away every month so that you can fulfill your dream. Okay. And once you do that, then you can go out and start figuring out what it is start creating your business. Or if you lose it, because not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. It is a hard hustle. If you go to a job every day, you're going to get paid unless you're not doing your job. That paycheck is coming. But a business owner has to make the money for themselves. I got to get up every morning at the same time, make sure that I do self-care, and then go to my job. I got to make my clients happy. I've got to, put the house on the market. I got to answer when tenants come and they want to rent a house. I got to answer those questions. I have a lot that I have to do. So if you don't have the wherewithal to do it, believe me, you won't make any money. Okay. So entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It is for people who get up on time. They're disciplined. They know that, okay, I know I want to go out with Joe and whoever else and play blah, 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 but I know that this customer over here needs me to do this. Which one am I going to do? I'm working with the customer, okay? And Joe and them can go and do whatever it is they need to do, and I'll catch up later, So you can't put people off. None of that. So if you're not disciplined, it's time to start getting disciplined. If your mama has to wake you up every morning and tell you get out that bed, blah, 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 you don't want to be an entrepreneur. If you can get up on your own and get your clothes on and get out and go to school and be to school on time and pay attention in class and all those things, there's our entrepreneur. Okay. And it'll be hard at first because trust me, my mama got me up every morning. But I had to learn. And then when I raised my kids, I said, okay, I'm not doing that. They're going to get up. So I said, here's your alarm. You set what time you got your alarm set. And every morning they would get up on their own. And to this day, they still do that. And I'm real happy about that. And I think that when parents enable the children by coming in there and telling y'all get up and get up and get up, that's not helping you guys. Okay. So if that's you and you can't get up in the morning, it's time for you to start doing it on your own. Okay. Get up. I would tell everybody to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to be a full-time entrepreneur, but you better have a side hustle, because you see, if you're paying attention to the news, things, your job is not guaranteed. Even the government jobs aren't guaranteed. They talking about shutting down every other time I turn the TV on. They want to shut the government down, shut the government, shut the government down. And I dealt with that back 30 years ago when I worked in the government. I didn't even take it seriously. I'm like, they always talk about shutting the government down, until they shut the government down. And I was like, wow, I'm glad I'm not there anymore. I'm glad that I'm an entrepreneur doing my own thing, that nobody controls my money. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with getting a job, but have something else that you can fall back on. Okay. That's the most important thing. You can do your job, you can do your little side business whenever you want to do it. Or you can say, okay, I'm tired of working for the man. Let me really get into this because I'm good at it. Okay. People want my service or whatever the case may be. I just have to be more disciplined to be able to push it out there, so that I can get more business. Okay.
Anybody got a question? Question? No? Justin? Devontae, questions? So you guys see what we talk about, right? And I talk about a 10-year plan. She maybe I'm gonna start talking about a 5-year plan. So
You got to start short before you go long.
you all be 2 years out of high school, okay? And you got to get ready for it. See, remember, Gabrielle is fortunate to get this kind of information. So she's got it. You got to have a pathway to get information outside of a text message that you see, the text messages, if it's not empowering you to be able to do something, right? You get an overload of what your brain gets, an overload of things that are not going to take you to anywhere where you can find success. Is that clear? As long as you guys, so again, when you see that dirt, think land. Is that clear? What can I put on it? I'm amazed at what they did down there across from the Census Bureau.